I've had this channel for less than a year, and this is the second time I've recommended a King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard album because they've released LW. Sort of the count. Not only is it the counterpart to KG, an amazing album from 2020, but where KG ends, this one exactly picks off as if you could play it as one long album. Once again, a phenomenal psych release by that band. People, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. I'm Shaggy, the opinionated hippie, currently ranking and reviewing every single Frank Zappa album released after he passed in December of '93. I've already done the pre-'93 ones elsewhere on this channel if you're interested. And we're currently on number 39, Greasy Love Songs. This was released in 2010. It is the third entry in the Project Object series that the ZFT has. So essentially what that is they're looking at individual albums and, like, you know, there's outtakes, there's alternate takes, there's interviews about the album, there's sort of reimagined track orders, or there's track orders that Frank had written somewhere that they're like, hey, let's do this, and look, we found these missing songs. So they've been really, really interesting releases. The first one was Freak Out, called Mofo. The second one was Lumpy Money, which covered Lumpy Gravy and We're Only in It for the Money. And this, the third one, covers Cruisin' with Ruben and the Jets. It is about the same place out of 55 that the original album is, mainly because what this is, I think the main attraction for this release is it's only a single disc, but the main attraction for this release is that it is the original mix of Ruben and the Jets. When Frank re-released it in the late 80s, he added, I think both bass and drum tracks, because he said the original ones were unusable or just not good enough to release. And so it's Wackerman, I think, overdubbed the drums, and I think Barrow overdubbed the bass. And I just think it sounds bad. Like, this isn't my favorite style of Frank's music. The 50s doo-wop, that's what this is. This is Ruben and the Jets were like a 50s doo-wop band, a fictional band, obviously. But the album was almost packaged as if it was a real band, and it got some airplay in different places in the Midwest. Ruben and the Jets did because people didn't know it was Zappa and the Mothers of the Invention. They thought it was actually this band, Ruben and the Jets, because the music was so sincere and so true to the time, even though it was meant to be. I mean, it was a tribute album. I don't think Frank was satirizing it. He had a true love for this music, and this was a true expression of his love for the music. But as far as stuff in his canon that I want to listen to, it's pretty far back on the list. But if you are going to listen to Ruben and the Jets, the single version release that is out there, I think on CD and possibly on streaming, it is that 87 remix, that horrible remix. I know other people like it and will defend it. I can't do that because I think it's horrible. But this is the version to listen to. This is the version of Ruben and the Jets, the original mix. I think it has a completely different sound. I think it sounds better. The songs hold up better. It's not dated. I mean, anything from the 80s is kind of dated, but and this is less dated than stuff from the 80s. So anyways, how well you like this release really depends on how much you like Ruben and the Jets, because there's some bonus material, but none of the bonus material is really that essential. There's a couple interesting tracks, but none of it's just going to blow your mind. So you get the first 13 songs, the original album in the original mix. I think one of the highlights, without a doubt, is a song called Anything that Ray Collins wrote that is like, could have been a hit. Could have been one of those things. It always reminded me of Unchained Melody, just that, the Righteous Brothers song, just this really incredibly beautiful, sincere vocal performance and song, and it's definitely the highlight of the original album. I'm not going to go too much into all the songs because I did that on the other list. I think it's like 38 or 37 is where Ruben and the Jets ended up. But you get Cheap Thrills, Love of My Life, How Could I Be Such a Fool, Desiree, I'm Not Satisfied, Jelly Roll Gumdrop, Anything, Later That Night, You Didn't Try to Call Me, Fountain of Love, No, 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 Any Way the Wind Blows, and Stuff Up the Cracks. They're all pretty much straightforward songs. Stuff Up the Cracks is a nice guitar solo at the end of it. That's the only kind of like real musical meat that's on it, other than Ray Collins' amazing voice and Frank's sort of, his arrangements as a tribute to this style of music. If you like the original album and you haven't heard the original mix, you have to check this out. If you already have the original mix and you like the original album, this really doesn't offer anything more because the bonus tracks are interesting, but they're not must-haves. So the bonus tracks, you get an alternative mono mix of Jelly Roll Gumdrop. All right. And then later on, you actually get a single version mix of Jelly Roll Gumdrop. So you got 3 Jelly Roll Gumdrops on this album, which is a good song, but none of the songs are that different to be like, whoa, I needed to hear this. You get a slightly longer version of No, No, No. You get Stuff Up the Cracks that has a good extra maybe minute of guitar playing at the end of it. So that's a pretty nice thing. Man, maybe it's 2 minutes, but yeah, maybe like a minute and a half of extra guitar at the end. So that's pretty nice. And it's a pretty it's not like it's building any faster or doing anything crazier. It's just nice. Frank's just playing guitar longer, and it's a pretty nice steady pace. It's a nice little solo, but not a must-hear solo. Then you get something called Serious Fan Mail, in which it's a whole bunch of different quotes and interviews and Frank speaking about this album. So you kind of get the backstory of how the people didn't know this was Frank and other people played it and all that kind of stuff, his opinion on this type of music. Then you get an early version of Valerie that would eventually appear on Burnt Weenie Sandwich. Is a pretty good version. This is fun to hear. This is the other one of the bonus tracks that's kind of neat. Might even be a slightly more fun, better version than the Burnt Weenie Sandwich version, I think. But this is kind of worth checking out. But the interesting thing about this is in the Serious Fan Mail, Frank is talking about this type of music and how the bands that are really, really, really good and sound like perfect with their harmonies are less interesting than bands who wrote, I forget the name of the band, but the band that wrote Valerie, because they were trying really hard, but they weren't very good. So like Frank applauded that effort to like have these harmonies, but not be able to pull it off, or, to have this ability to sing these incredible songs, but not be able to pull it off. And then he talks about Valerie particularly, and then the next track is an early version of Valerie. So you kind of see why he chose that song. Another version, then you get the other version in Jelly Roll Gumdrop. And then you get Frank on a radio station in which he's reading the sort of fictional backstory to the Ruben and the Jets characters, where like this instrumental R&B track is playing in the background. And then that goes into an early version of Love of My Life, in 1963, the Cucamonga recordings. So you get a version of Love of My Life to close out the disc. None of the bonus stuff I would say is essential. The Valerie is interesting and the longer guitar solo and Stuff Up the Cracks. But other than that, whether or not you want to get this album, I think depends on whether you have the original mix. If you don't, get it, because it's worth checking out. It's much better than the later version. But that's all I got to say about this. Number 39, Greasy Love Songs. I know I got some Ruben fans out there who have commented already on the other video. So let me know what you think about these bonus extras if you're a Ruben fan and then you got this, how big of a payoff they were. Must not have been much out there for this because in the other releases it's been like 2 or 3 discs. And so you've gotten more stuff. So maybe there just wasn't a lot of interesting stuff during this recording or during this session. But anyways, that's it. I'm done. Let me know. Subscribe, algorithms, all that kind of stuff, man. Peace and take care.